All right, hi Scrapbook friends. I'm trying to experiment today. I don't have the best video setup to do this, but since we're all trapped at home, I thought it would be fun to try and teach a little class via video. So I want to just do a quick little class about using the recipe templates. If you've been following with CM for a while, you know that we have these great recipe templates. Right now we have three. This one is Global Glow. This one is called Simple Symmetry. And this one is called Frame It Up. And basically what these allow you to do is to use the template to design your page and to put photos or pattern paper or any combination of that in these squares. So I have an example of these two, the Simple Symmetry. This is probably the easiest one if you're just getting started. I would recommend the Simple Symmetry just because it's a lot of straight lines. There's a lot of versatility that you can do. If you look on the front, you'll see that they have some blue lines that give you some tips about how you can arrange your photos. You can use every single line if you want, and the one I'm going to show you, I did that for most of them. But you can also just use part of the lines or selected lines. So it's just a guide to get you started. But then, the sky's the limit. Like anything else, start with the basics and then go crazy. Okay, so I'm going to show you, but I'm going to put these aside. I'm going to show you two samples that I have done using these two templates. The first one is using the Simple Symmetry. And you can see that I used almost all the squares that were in this. I guess I'll pull it back out. So if you lay this over the top, you can see that I put, photos in a lot of the sections, and then I used paper in the others. Now you can use either pattern paper or solid paper. I really like to use a solid or a mostly solid for the base. I feel like that really makes it pop, gives it almost like a stained glass look. You could use a pattern paper for the back, but if you wanted to do that, I would use a solid for all the other pieces just to make it so that the pieces don't get lost. I mean, one of the beautiful things about this is the way that the makes the pictures pop off the page. So this is the Simple Symmetry, and then the other one I did is the Frame It Up. And I just want to tell you that on my Facebook page, if you go to facebook.com/Nicole Scrapbooks, I have several photo albums where I've been saving all the different layouts from the different recipe templates. And you'll see that there have been some other recipe templates previously that are no longer available, but the techniques work the same for all of them. And so we're just going to kind of quickly go over some of the techniques that have really worked for me. All right, so when you purchase the recipe template the first time, you're going to want to buy it in the bundle. I believe that the recipe templates themselves are $13.50 each, and then if you buy it as a bundle, it's $18.50. And with the $18.50, you also get a graphite pencil. This is not a wax pencil. It's not a lead pencil. It's a soft graphite. I guess what we call lead pencils are actually graphite too, but it's a soft graphite, and this is made for writing on your photos. You don't want to write on paper with this because it won't erase. But on your photos, and I'll show you in a minute, you can write and then you can rub it off. And then the other thing it comes with are some little blue clips, and I actually have mine stored in a cute little sparkly coin purse. But these 4 little blue clips, and you're going to want these 4 clips. I know people that don't use these, that have other methods that they use for clipping their things together, and that may work for you, but I really like the clips, and of course I really like my little coin purse. So I'll put that to the side for now. And last night I was playing around with this, and I came up with this layout using Global Glow. We went to Disney World and they had the Tangled hanging lanterns, and I had printed this in 8x10, and I wanted to really showcase it, and so I did it using the Global Glow. But I have several other pictures that that I want to showcase. You can see I've been playing around. And so I'm going to make this actually into a double page layout. I'm going to put this on this side and then have the other layout right here. So I'm going to set this one aside as well. And then we're going to talk about how to use the templates. So before we get to my actual layout, let's talk about the prep. One of the biggest tips that I was given was that when you get a new template, you should label it. So if you can see on here, I've got this labeled front. There's a CM logo. I don't know if you can see, but that's like embossed in there, the CM logo. And so I've written front on mine, and I wrote back on it, but you know, really, if it doesn't say front, you know it's the back. And I also wrote top for this one because some of them, like Simple Symmetry, it doesn't matter. You know, the top, bottom are going to be the same. But for this one, it really matters. And so you label them top and bottom, and then take your template and use this cardboard that it came with and trace around it with a pencil. All right, you see this? This is going to be like a cheat sheet for you as you're creating your layouts. And so this layout that I did already, I did just the way it is. This is the front. It's going to be down here on the bottom. This is the front. So to keep it from being a little too boring, for my other side layout, I'm going to do it upside down. Just because. And you can see that I, you know, broke my own rule, and I used a pattern paper for the background, but that's because I'm using so much solid and there's so much black in these pictures. So the other layout we're going to do, I'm going to do with the template upside down. And I've cut a few of the pieces already just to make it faster for this video, which I already know is going to be super long. When you trace with your template, let's see, I think I'm going to do it like this. Isn't that a cute picture? You got to admit, that's a cute picture. If you've watched Tangled, you know that Flynn Rider, who's kind of the hero of Tangled, is famous for his smolder. And so that's my husband trying to attempt his smolder. So now I'm just going to take the wax pencil. These little things will slide a little bit. It's not a real super thick plastic, so I like to hold on to it as I go, and I'm just carefully tracing. And I'm going to ignore this line because I'm going to use this whole section. All right. Okay, my picture's all fingerprinty. I'm one that likes glossy, so I know to wipe off my fingerprints. But you can see that little pencil line on there that I drew with the wax pencil. Now I like to cut on the outside of the line. It's up to you. Cut right on the line, cut right inside the line. But for me, I try to cut right on the outside of the line to make all my pieces consistent. Otherwise, if you cut sometimes on the line, sometimes inside the line, the spacing's gonna be off. So I'm just gonna cut right around the outside. And I like to use scissors, especially for this one. I could easily put this in my trimmer and cut with my trimmer, but for me, I just find scissors give me the most control. All right, and so this is a great template for using up scraps. Any of these recipe templates are great for using up your little photo scraps because you can use these little tiny spaces for so many things. So now I'm going to move this over to my cheat sheet and lay it right here. So this is where I know it's going to go when I put my layout together. And then I'm doing a lot of black. Now I've already pre-cut a bunch of these. So we're going to use the magic of television like they do on the cooking shows. And you can see I've pre-cut a bunch of my pictures and some black paper. And so the only piece I still need to cut is right here. And I actually may go back with some of my double prints and cut some of the little lanterns to go in that spot, but I haven't decided yet. So for the purposes of this video today, I'm just going to use some black cardstock. And then you don't want to use this wax pencil again. And I keep calling it wax, it's graphite. Just bear with me, sorry. You don't want to use the photo pencil on it. You want to use a regular pencil because you can erase it. But one of the things that I like to do is I like to just flip it over and cut backwards, and then I don't have to erase any lines. So since I know this is going this way, I'm going to flip it over, and mine helpfully says back. And I'm just going to, you know, squeeze in here and use use a little tiny scrap of this paper here. And again, I'm cutting out on the outside edge. And you can see on the black paper that really shows up well with the lead pencil. Again, not lead, not wax, but you know what I mean. All right, so there's my next piece. Oops, not straight. And that's going to go right here when I put my layouts together. One of the things when you're cutting photos or something like I did down here is to use the existing edges already to save you some time. So rather than like putting this on here and cutting like this, which of course I would for this picture, but you could line up here. And I wouldn't cut this picture with this template. And then these two edges are already cut for you. So that makes it easy, especially like with the paper. That one's really easy to show how if you're going to cut, you know, a section like this lined up here, and then you only have to draw these two lines. And for me, I mean, it just sets right in there. So just cut those two lines. So use right angles and straight edges whenever it's possible. And then use your scraps. I mean, if I wanted to, so here's a scrap from my last page. If I wanted to, I could put some of this shimmery black, you know, as a filler. And again, with the photo, you're going to want to use the photo labeling pencil for your shapes. And then with paper, you're going to want to use pencil, except, this is backwards, so I would want to do it this way. But you don't need to feel like you have to like lay it on your paper. And if you were going to cut this out and you wanted several pieces from this paper, don't cut like this. You know, don't go and trace these pieces. I want this piece, this piece, this piece. Cut them out. That's just wasteful. Just maximize the use of your paper, and you can really get a whole lot of pieces out of a scrap of paper. And this example is kind of odd because I am using just so many solids of the same. All right, so we finished this. I know that I'm doing this upside down. This is where your clips are going to come in handy. And the clips are just the right width so that they fit exactly on this border. And the border really does make it look nice. It offsets the background paper, allows that to be seen. Oops. Sometimes when you pick it up, it stretches your paper underneath a little bit. Anyway, so you can do those on all four corners, and that's just going to make sure that your pieces are straight. Okay, and then we're going to start transferring our pieces over. This one, because I didn't cut out this, I'm going to have to tuck it underneath. I really like to use the repositionable adhesive for this, just in case I need to scooch things around a little bit to when I finally get it done. But I'm just going to tuck that right under, line it up with the pieces. Oh, I forgot to show you about wiping off the wax pencil. Darn it. So the wax pencil that's on the edge of the pictures, I don't know if you can see on the edge of the pictures. Maybe not. Okay, I just take a little soft flannel cloth and I just rub it off. And of course, if I planned ahead, I would have used a piece of paper and not the back of my cutting system mat, because it does leave a little bit of a line on there. But just go ahead and rub that wax pencil off and you'll never see it. You could do it on a piece of scratch paper. I would do it before I put the pictures on my on my layout because it does leave a little bit of a black residue. Anyways, you can see now that I've cut all my pieces, assembly is super quick. These are not, this isn't the fastest way to scrapbook, and it would not be something I would recommend for doing every layout in your scrapbook. I think that they can have some real visual impact if you use them sparingly. If you use them too much, your book is just going to look cluttered and busy. But you can see that you can use photos or paper in the designs. So I don't know enough about doing videos yet to know if I can pause this and keep going. So I'm just gonna make you bear with me for a minute while I stick all these pieces down. The only time you'd really want to worry about having your lining up your paper and not just squeezing in for scraps is if you're trying to match a pattern. If you were trying to do like a stripe and have it go across and be consistent, you would want to then lay your paper down and cut in those right spaces. So that would be a little harder way to, it wouldn't be necessarily a paper saving way, but then you could save the rest of the scraps for another layout. You can always cut more than one layer at a time. I know people who say that when they do their recipe templates, they always cut multiple layers. I never plan that far in advance. I kind of work on the fly with what I'm doing, but so that's an option too. But again, don't feel like you have to use all the pieces. If you look again at this layout that I did, I think I'm going to leave it like this with the top open. And so in just a second when this is done, you guys can help me decide. But I think I'm going to do it. I may I don't know if I'm going to even use a title, but I think that really draws the eye to that layout, to leave that visual space is what we used to call it when I was back on the high school yearbook staff. We talked about the importance of leaving visual space, a white space, we called it, for a place for your eye to rest. Okay, so now's the fun part. I've put all my pieces down in my template, and I'm going to remove the clips. And then because I did use repositionable and they might come up a little bit, I'm just going to be a little bit careful when I lift up to press the photos down and make sure all the pieces stay underneath where they're supposed to stay. So you can see this one has several that, right kind of on that edge. And voila, there you go. I think it looks fantastic. And in my album, it's going to be next to this one. And again, I think I'm going to leave that. I think that draws the eye over here. I may, like I said, go back and take from some of my extra double prints, some of these little lanterns from here and fill in some of these other spaces. I may do some journaling. But there you go. There's how to use the recipe templates. The tips I would want to leave you with would definitely be to label the front and back and to create your cheat sheet. This has been so helpful for me to have that cheat sheet. Of course, I made two since I was doing video, and put on here where I put where it says logo. I just wrote that real quick on there so that I know how to line it up for these that that are different. You see, if I did it this way, it's not symmetrical. And so I would be in a world of hurt if I had cut my pieces wrong, at least for this little section. So there you go. I hope you find this helpful. I hope you are finding ways to scrapbook during this crazy COVID-19 adventure we're having. And hopefully it'll work and we'll all be safe and healthy and be able to get back to scrapbooking very soon. I hope to see you then. And until then, happy scrapbooking.